Welcome to Elite Rugby SandC podcast, the best podcast talking all things rugby and strength and conditioning. At Elite Rugby SandC, we provide athletes with strength and conditioning programs that provides you with everything you need to become a beast and take your game to the next level. No matter what stage of the year or season, Elite Rugby SandC has a program for you. You can try before you buy, so try our 7-day $7 trial to get a taste of what we offer here at Elite Rugby SandC. Also, sign up to our newsletter and receive free bonus content each and every single week. So take your game to the next level, become a beast, and join Elite Rugby SandC today. Today on the podcast, Coach Ben joins me and we talk about how to stand out in club rugby. We provide some great examples from previous athletes we have worked with who are now playing at the elite level. We talk about what areas pro and elite coaches are looking for in club rugby athletes. We discuss key areas in the gym and in field training that will help you stand out. We discuss how to be the best teammate possible, and we talk about a bunch more areas that can really help you stand out in club rugby. We know you'll get a lot out of this episode, so enjoy. So g'day Ben, how are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you, Kieran. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm going well, thanks. It's a nice Saturday down here in Canberra. The rain has finally stopped, so it's nice to see some summer sports being played this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. You just wanted to get that in there because you're starting baseball, aren't you?
Yeah, just to tell everyone that I am an athlete. I'm not just a coach, So if you're ever down in Canberra, come watch me play baseball. But nah, not really. It's only third grade, so
What grade are you playing, and when would they have to turn up, mate?
it's third grade, So it's on a Sunday as well. So it's probably a bit too early in the morning at a 10 a.m. So don't worry about that. But nah. But speaking about other sports, I think if I didn't play baseball when I was younger, I think I would have struggled moving laterally and also reading the ball as well. So I think playing other sports is it's really fun, and if you can do it, go do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice to have a bit of a break from your winter sport, especially when you're younger. I did athletics when I was in primary school and that type of stuff. It was fun. And then I did some judo and that type of stuff in the off seasons for rugby when I was in high school, and kickboxing and stuff. So probably, a little combative type of sport, but it was good fun, something a little bit different.
And you also learn more about how important coaching is, and also like the different structures of clubs. Like it's really strange to see a rugby club then to a baseball club. They're very different, and they lack certain areas as well compared to rugby club in terms of the more social aspect and the cohesiveness and just being a team. So yeah, it's really interesting, and makes me sort of wonder the areas that I want to sort of are really important to me as a club and as a team. It makes me really want to bring that over to baseball and start bringing those little things into it to make it a better club and a better organization as well.
Yeah, well, culture is the key, isn't it? Everything that gets done, a good culture
100%.
creates an outcome.
So today we're going to talk about how to stand out in club rugby, a question that you sort of probably think about a lot if you're a club rugby athlete. Like, how do I really maximize performance to be able to take the next step in my career, if that's wanting to be a professional or wanting to play overseas in a more competitive competition? So from your experience, Ben, watching club rugby over the many, many years and many different rugby games and clubs, how do you stand out in club rugby? And can you provide some examples of players that you have coached along your career?
Yeah, so what makes people stand out is obviously rugby talent. So your fundamental skills that you have for rugby, but then it's dominating your position. Whether you're a tight head prop, whether you're a fullback, a hooker, or a winger, absolutely nailing the physical competencies that you need for that position, and also looking like you can survive the rigors of higher level football. So to give you some examples of, I've been quite lucky. I've been doing it for a long period of time and looked after the Brumbies pathway for, it would have been 5.5 years. So taking people from 14 up until 21, and then trying to get them contracts or get them to professional rugby or, Australian under 20 level. So some people that probably stand out. You think at the moment, I think Mac Hansen through the junior programs was an exceptional 10, but what he had that no one else had was he was really quick. And we had to work on a lot of other things for Mac to get his strength up so he could actually handle the pace that he could run up, because he had some issues when he was younger with some injuries. So, and again, his exceptional pace and change of direction were the physical capabilities that he had. But the fact that he would play 10 when he's younger means he can kick, pass, and make decisions under pressure. And you see him now playing on the wing for Ireland, and he's sensational. And that's what made him stand out, having that capability of his position in wing being world-class speed. To give you an example of some work, we did some videotaping when he was, would have been 18, and it was in slow motion, and it was over 30 meters. I forget his actual time, but it was sensational, his time. But in that time, he touched the ground 17 times within about 3 seconds. So the rate that he can actually create power, his contact time on the ground is so short that's where he gets his pace from. So that's where he was sensational. Other people, let's look, probably someone that's playing for the All Blacks at the moment, Tyrell Lomax, tight head prop. He was just absolutely committed to being strong and powerful and nailing his scrum technique. He would do a lot of extras on that. So a good little story about Tyrell: when he left Brumbies, he sort of had a little training contract after the 20s program, and he went down to the Rebels. After the first gym session, he scared them with how strong he was, and I got a little message from a mate that's the CEO down there going, "Oh, well, Tyrell Lomax is scaring people at how strong he is in the gym. Like, there's some guys that were professionals that went, whoa." So again, he nailed his point of difference, which is his physicality and his scrum work. Another one you can think, Corey Toole, who was really good with the Sevens program and obviously going to the Brumbies. He was just sensationally quick, but he did everything he could to be quick. But he worked a lot on his strength because he's only little. He was only 82 kilos at the time. He's probably a little heavy, about 84, 86. But he could bench press 140 as an 18-year-old. And he'd played a lot of football, again, in the centres growing up. So it meant that he could handle decision-making a little bit more. But for him, it was speed, and we did everything we could to maximise that. Another cool story was we tried for about 2.5 years to hassle the Aussie Sevens program to actually take a look at them. And I went, "Oh, you guys from Canberra always say you've got good players." But when he finally did get his gig there, he recorded some of the highest VMAXs they've seen for a long time. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. That's what I think makes you stand out, nailing your rugby detail and what you need for your position, but having a physical capability that is at or better than the next level of rugby that you want to play at.
There's some great examples, and couldn't agree more with those players that you listed. And just remembering playing against them and playing with Tyrell, he was just so dominant in scrummaging, and it just made you want to be better. But you could understand this kid is going to go somewhere, and it was really cool to see him put in the extras as well. Like, he was always chatting with more experienced players at Vikings with the first grade and the first grade head coaches and all that. And he was always wanting to improve, and it sort of made you want to improve as well and learn from him and learn why he's so dominant. So I think he was very coachable as well. And I think Conal McInerney as well was very coachable. And that's another reason why they got to the next level and could stand out, because they were taking on this advice and then putting it into practice, and then just continuing to work on their rugby skills and attributes. And it's just paid off really well. And it's awesome to see those types of players playing consistent and playing at the highest level as well.
Yeah, and probably looking back, I watched the Australia A play Japan last night, the Tri-Fest. Rory Scott was another one that absolutely stood out. Like, as a young man, I've got videos of him doing Bulgarians at 150 kilos for 3 reps as an 18-year-old. But he was sensationally strong. But his work ethic was amazing. We used to call him Ant-Man because he's just so strong for his size. But he runs himself into the ground. He will just keep going and going and going. And you could see last night the work ethic that he had, and how much how much more impact he had than other players, and how little fatigue he seemed to carry because of other players, because of his willingness when he was young to work so hard. And that's a trait that he does all the time. But and again, he had the physicality and the strength and the fitness, but at the next level or even to surpass it. So you don't wait to get to that next level to develop it. You develop it in the level below so that you can use it in the level above.
100%. I love that. And I think if you're listening to this part of the conversation, like, yes, being strong and fast and keeping development is very, very important, but these players wouldn't be in the position they are if they weren't good at rugby. So don't just get too focused on oh wow, Tyrell Lomax is super duper strong, I'm going to be that player. Like, no, he was really, really skillful, and he is really skillful at scrummaging. He's got really good hands and feet into contact and playmaking out the back. So continue to work on those skills, and then allow strength and speed to continue to improve your performance. It's not the be or end all, it's aiding your performance, but don't get too caught up in the gym.
Yeah, and that was my very S&C bias there. But there's 3 parts to all rugby players: technical, which is all the skills, and the basic catch, pass, tackle, clean out, decision making. But then there's a technical for your actual key area, say tight head, props, scrummaging, line out lifting. Second rower will be again scrummaging, and then your jump component or calling or reading lineouts. So make sure you nail that. And then there's tactical, knowing how to play the game and tactically in attack and defense, and analyzing what people do. And then there's the physical. So they're all equally weighed, but physicality can't make up for the 2 others if you don't have the technical and tactical ability.
100%. And I think one thing that just popped in my head just then was when I was talking to Tim Sampson, who's coaching at the Melbourne Rebels now. These players were patient as well. They trusted that process of being in an academy setting, trusting the S&C program, trusting their coaches to develop their skills and provide them with the opportunities to develop their skills. And then when the opportunity came around, they took it, and they are taking it with both hands and really excelling. Whereas I think some players might get to that level and be a bit impatient. They want to have that contract now. I want it now. I want to be at that high level now, when you just really got to trust the process. And then when you get that opportunity, take it with both hands.
Yeah, you're not buying ice cream. Yeah, you can't just have it now because you want it. You've got to earn it.
So you're making ice cream? Is that what you're trying to say? Instead of buying it, you're making
probably go down, milk the cow.
Yeah.
Like, look up. Yeah. Like, if you had to make it from scratch, it's a little bit harder, and that's what a contract's about. You're making everything from scratch rather than going purchasing it.
Okay, cool. I like that. So what are the key areas elite and professional coaches want to see out of club rugby athletes in your experience? Is there some sort of unspoken, I don't know, things that they look for, or it's not just are they strong, fast, and powerful? Is there certain other elements to it as well?
Yeah, one thing they want to see is repeat efforts. They definitely want to see repeat efforts, and they want to see a level of hunger and determination, and humility as well, so that you're coachable. When they watch games, they're definitely looking at how robust you are, whether you bounce off the ground quickly, whether you're back, how you interact with your teammates. Are you a positive or a negative influence? If something goes wrong, do you put your head down and or if a teammate makes a mistake, do you go there, try to recenter them, or do you start pointing fingers and blaming? So all those things that you look for in normal players, but you want to see, can they handle and will they enjoy the next level and the extra pressure and work that comes with that. So what are some of your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch upon the first thing you said, repeat efforts. So when you say repeat efforts, is it being able to dominate in tackles consistently? Is that what you're trying to say? Like for an example?
Well, repeat efforts are, here's a great example. So if you've got 15 players on the field and your players can only contribute 1 effort per minute, right, in your game. So you get 15 efforts per minute from everyone. So if you've got a team that can do 2 efforts, and an effort could be a tackle, getting off the ground, bouncing in position, running to the next thing, making I guess, a dominant run, then bouncing up, running in position, being set, being a decoy, or being set in the correct position so that your teammate can take advantage of the next phase. Repeat efforts are getting to the next job, executing that next job, getting to the next job, executing that job, and doing it consistently. So repeat efforts aren't the same activity. So, and probably carrying on with that example is, if you've got 1 effort per minute for 15, that's 15 efforts. If people can do 2, that's 30. If people can do 3, that's 45. If people can do, in the mix of things, 4 efforts per minute, all of a sudden that's 60 efforts per minute for your team. You're going to outwear the opposition. So that's what I mean by repeat efforts. It's not the same activity. It's hunger and desire to get up and play and fulfill your next role.
You probably see that where, I don't know, it feels like growing up playing rugby, you didn't really focus on those repeat efforts. You would make the effort, get your breath back, I don't know, fill up out on the short side and just think about, okay, what's next? Whereas today, because the game is so fast and so physical, you need to get off the ground. Don't be a log, as something you've said in the past, and I've said to athletes as well. Don't be a log on the ground. Get up off the ground, quick, and be back in the defensive line to give your team the best opportunity to limit the opposition.
Yeah. And something that probably stands out in working with our current group, just helping out some of the 19s at the moment. Most of the props and second rowers get picked in their club team because they're the only prop and the only second rower available. So the coaches are pretty lenient on them in a way because they just want them to turn up. To get to that next level, that's you'd say you're average, if that you're just an average prop. But if you want to make a rep team or a professional team, you've got to be the person that understands it. Just because that's the standard that you're playing at doesn't mean that's the standard you should be playing at to get somewhere else. So that's where you need multiple repeat efforts. And kids growing up, particularly for their school and their club team, and the Type 5, unfortunately, are the big examples of this, because they're big and there's no other player around, they're their number one. But you're only a big fish in a tiny pond. So if you went across all the clubs in Australia, how many under 20s team, Colts team would there be?
Quite maybe a few. 100.
Yeah. So if you want to be at the top of those, that's who you're really competing against. You're not competing with the other prop in your team to get into your club team or your Colts team each week. You're competing with those other 100 props or whatever it is at your age group to get a shot at potentially getting a contract in the future. So do you want to be the 1 in 100 that really stands out? Or do you want to be the 1 out of 2 that gets a starting run in your team each week?
I think if you can get that mindset into your training, because not everyone in your team wants to make the next level. They just want to play rugby for the fun of it. But if you can get your team in your club or organization to be able to, we want to produce really good rugby players that go on with their career and make the next step, but can focus on being the best they can at training and in this competition, but also saying we need to raise the standard so you're training already at the standard of the next level, but above that next level as well. I think if you can get your mind around that, because I'm trying to get my mind around it now, and put that into a training program, then wow, your team is going to be pretty damn good, I reckon.
Yeah. And I guess come from a time at a club where that was our expectation was the more people we could get to the next level, the more people we would draw in that wanted to be here with the right mindset for an organization. Therefore, we have to get better to get that new talent in. So if you want to get better as an organization and win, you've actually got to make sure that, you punch people out that other level so that they're happy. So you draw the next group in that want that same thing to create that competitive environment within your club.
No, I think that's awesome. And some key areas for me about the question that I ask, I think, can you be a consistently good player against all opposition? I don't want you to be the best against an average or worse team. Can you perform when you're playing the best teams? When you're playing the number 1 team, the comp, number 2, it doesn't matter who it is. Can you really perform and stand out while doing that, but also lift your teammates up as well, because you can be the best on the shit team, but if you're not performing against the good teams, you're not really going to go anywhere and you're not going to stand out. You need to be standing out, yes, when you're playing the bad teams, because I feel like sometimes when you are playing a team who isn't going well, your standard drops a bit, and you don't play as well. You play good, but not that well. And I've seen it many times, and I've done it in the past as well. But when you play those good teams, you're like, yes, we're going to get up. Let's go. Let's do all this. But can you do that every single game you play? That's probably one of the best ways I would say to stand out in club rugby is, can you perform consistently? Doesn't matter if it's a good team or bad team, every single week. I really like the point that you said of being a good teammate, because if you're the hothead on the team and get angry about every call and you're getting a yellow card every second game or something like that, those coaches don't want to see that. They want to see coachable players and a player who can be a really good teammate and adds value to the team and it's not a liability and costing the team 10 minutes, So I think if you're doing that, and I think lastly, can you do the work? Are you putting in the work, and can you do the work? A coach is gonna say, a professional coach might ask your coach, what's their work ethic like at training? Are they showing up? Are they showing up early? Are they going to the gym, doing all these little extras? Are they recovering as well? Like, what is your coach going to talk about you? Are they going to say positive things, or are they going to be like, oh yeah, Kieran, he's all right. Like he does the work, but he's not the hardest worker or anything like that. Something like that could put that coach off, and they could just pick the next kid who might have been exact similar in terms of attributes and strength and all that, but has been doing the work. So yeah, can your coaches say nice things about you as well, and honest things? They're not lying. They're actually quite honest about it as well.
Yeah. I think it goes back to, remember we talked about some goal setting and a psychological thing to help people get to play. So take yourself out of yourself and be you and a really good mate that knows rugby sitting there watching you play, and describe the way that you play football. Are they enthusiastic? Do they get off the ground? Are they helping their teammates? Are they skillful? Are they all of those things? And just get out of your own little self and actually reflect on where you are. It might be uncomfortable sometimes. And that's where, even get a mate just to video your game where they're just trucking you, and then you start seeing what you're really doing, because we all have a perception versus reality of what we're doing. So I think that's a wonderful thing. But if you're going to buy a car or a house or a computer online, what do you do?
You do a bit of research, you look at reviews, you see if it's reliable, and if I don't know, your cousin or your brother or family member or friend says, "No, this is actually really good. I've got it." Oh no, don't get that. I've used it. It sucks.
Yeah, and even if that at the moment your review might be not that good, doesn't mean you can't change it as well. So this is your ability to change the way that people view you. So yeah.
100%. It just sort of reminds me of, have you ever seen the movie Draft Day?
No.
No. So Kevin Costner, I think it is. He's the main guy. So Draft Day, it's an NFL movie, and it talks about the Cleveland Browns. I'm pretty sure it is, and they have the first overall pick, and there's this main prospect that they're going to pick, and everyone's like, "Yep, you need to pick him. He's a quarterback. He is awesome." And they do a bit more research, or I think they trade up to get the first pick. I think something along those lines. Don't quote me on that. But they're looking at this main prospect, and Kevin finds out that the quarterback, no one went to his 18th or 21st birthday. And he's like, why wasn't any one of your teammates coming to your party? And it turns out he wasn't a good teammate. And that's the reason they didn't want to pick him. And it's a really good movie and all that, but he looks further beyond the skill and talent of that player. And it speaks truly to what, say, NFL coaches are doing. So why wouldn't rugby union coaches or any other professional sporting organization not do this? They're looking further on beyond the player and looking, is that person a good person and can add value to my organization? So if you haven't seen Draft Day, go watch it. It's a cool movie, and it just shows you a bit of insight of what goes on Draft Day and what coaches and organizations are looking for in players.
Yeah, having been privy to those conversations at a HPU unit, yep, they definitely do that.
Yeah.
100%.
So I want to stand out in club rugby. What should my gym split look like in the preseason and then in the in-season? Are there certain things in the gym or types of training in the gym that can help me stand out on the field?
Yeah, and look, rather than going into the exercises, because we've actually done that before, the main thing is power. You have to be explosive and powerful. We're in a horizontal power sport. So you have to be very good at creating power, whether that's speed, explosiveness, dominant tackles, tackle breaking ability. Power is something that you need to train all year round. And when it comes to in season, I'd have even a greater focus of that. I wouldn't go down the lines of, just doing strength in the off season and then having this little power block and then you go into your in season. One thing that I could constantly work on is your horizontal power. Yeah. And what are your thoughts on that, Kieran?
Yeah, I think power is the one that separates you from the other player and also the opposition as well. But you talked about those repeat dynamic efforts. That's what you want. You want to be able to hit a player consistently hard and powerful and dominant every single time. Say you're on defense or carrying up the ball, and if you can continue to work in power and develop it and manipulate in different ways, like you're saying, vertical and horizontal, everything we do is pretty much in horizontal, besides say like line out lifting or jumping. Like you need to be able to be explosive and powerful, and you need to be explosive and powerful on one leg as well. Can you do all those things and yeah, just being creative with it, adding some bands in, doing some different hurdle jumps as well, continuous hurdle jumps. So don't just do a normal box jump per se. Like, yes, you can teach it like that, but how can we add some constraints to it so the athlete really has to be powerful and sort of figure out how to be powerful and use their body and project their body as well? Because I do see power training done quite simple, which is awesome. You got to be able to do the simple things well, but if you haven't really developed them and challenged them and repeat efforts, then I don't think you can transfer it as well as you want to the field. So, but yeah, power is definitely one of the things they look for and is a great way with speed to really stand out.
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention, and it's a book I probably, or some work I read by Ashley Jones a long time ago. We're going back to '06, '07, when there wasn't much work on the internet. He said his biggest change being a strength and conditioning coach, I think he won um, Super Rugby like 7 times as an S&C coach. He said, biggest change I did was realizing that I should have done a lot more power training. Okay.
Mm.
So he went from this more strength focus, which is still a focus because you've got to improve strength through improved power, but he really increased the volume of power training that he did for that very reason that you're talking about.
Mm. And I think people would be some players might be scratching their head. Okay, we've talked about power, but what does power look like at the moment? So, for example, can we tell them what we've been doing with the under 19s? So, just give them some example of the exercise that we've been utilizing.
Yeah, probably even right from the beginning with the warm up. So, drilling exercises and then some form of banded drilling and running component to get that vertical and horizontal force development. Um, at, we've got a power session at the moment that we've tried to keep pretty consistent so that they can absolutely nail it. Even the big boys were doing hurdle jumps at a decent height, 3 to 4 reps. We've got some single leg work where we're doing triple hops and they actually have to land, some broad jumps. We've got trap bar jumps as well. And this is spread across the week. Sled pushes that have been between 80 to 100 kilos where they've got 5 meters and it's maximal speed that they can do. And then they jump out of that into some 5 meter acceleration races. So there's always a lot of power going in with the upper body as well. We've got banded bench press going on and really explosive components. So yeah, keeping that going all the time. And like you said, there's single leg, there's double leg, there's horizontal, and there's vertical. But at the end of the day, if you've got big, strong players, if they can't produce power quickly, they're not going to win a ruck or be strong in contact. Even to the point where we've got in our upper body stuff day, we've got a banded tackle, and the tackle they come off, bounce, split, hit. And the tackle is about leg drive, but it's also about wrapping someone and squeezing them, because there's two things are really related to tackle success: how quick you are over, say, 2 up to 5 meters, depending, and how strong your grip strength is. So you can hit someone if they spin out because you're weak in the grip. That doesn't help. So we're combining those as well within an upper body session. We're actually doing some lower leg power, but the focus is on their grip strength.
And I think the key thing from that is we're teaching the athletes how to be powerful, and then supplying them with the movements we want to be powerful in, so it's okay, you've done this movement, and then now go do the rugby skill as well. And I think that's the key to developing power and then utilizing power out on the field.
Yeah, and it's for players, they understand the context that way. So if you're a player and you go, okay, why does he want me to do a 5 meter sled at 80 to 100 kilos really, really fast and then go into running? And then they go, oh, I get it now. Let's just say you've got me absolutely cleaning out a ruck, then you're bouncing, then I've got to actually sprint to my next task. Okay, yeah, I get it now.
I love that. Hi everyone, we just wanted to take a break from this episode. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far, and also all the content we have produced. We appreciate all the support from our listeners and followers so far. If you haven't already, sign up to Elite Rugby SandC newsletter today. We provide you a free, exclusive content each and every single week to our subscribers. Link in the bio. Remember to like, subscribe, and share Elite Rugby SandC on social media to all your friends and families. So thanks again for your support, and now back to the episode. So asking the same question, but now for field training. Are there certain drills and areas or types of training that can help me stand out in the field when we're doing our field component?
Yeah, probably the biggest change is your running. So that's run, tech, and speed. Absolutely, for sure. They're the key. And also how quickly you get off the ground. So there was we'll come back to the speed. I can remember being part of a group that did some analysing of Super Rugby games. And some of the type 5, or on average, actually get off the ground 42 times in a game, right? So we looked across their conditioning in a training session. Sometimes in our sessions, they're only getting off the ground 15 times. So we added a lot more getting off the ground, and you could imagine the success that we had, like more people in the line. So that's something that I'd definitely add to your training as well. That's where Malcolm's come from, that type of stuff. But speed, everyone, even if you're a big human, they're expected to be fast. The game has got faster. While the ball's in play, it might only be 30 seconds sometimes, up to, the longest would be 4 minutes 20. You're expected to be fast and dynamic through that time. I'd say your ability to run well and to have good accelerations for your type 5, and then have some good, when needed, some good VMAX for your outside backs is really important.
I love the component of getting off the line fast. I think when you are in junior type teams, so even 16s and 18s and coming up to the Colts level, line speed is just so crucial, and seeing some rep games that we've played in the 18s, at times our line speed was non-existent. We just sort of stood on the line, and then sometimes we did work on it, and then the next game we were off the line and they were cutting players down behind the gain line, and they finally understood what explosive means off the line and putting that under pressure. I think sometimes you might think, it's a bit intimidating, I would say, for some athletes, especially when they're rushing off the line to tackle a bigger guy. They can be intimidated a bit. I've seen it a little bit. But yeah, that line speed and acceleration is just so important to be able to put the opposition under pressure. Even if when you're on attack, can you accelerate into contact and get over the advantage line and then go again? So I really like that throughout the whole team, getting off the line really quickly. And just like you said, working on that VMAX. If you're an outside back, you need to be working on that speed. And I really enjoy doing like the 10-meter flies or the 20-meter flies, like you're jogging up, building that speed, and then bang, can you switch it on? And I think that's where some of the best players, like your Corey, Mac Hansen, even looking like Tom Banks over Australia A, he's slowly building in that speed, and once you get that ball, can you just hit the accelerator and go and run really fast? So It's just like power. You got to continue to work on your line speed. You need to continue to work on your speed and challenge yourself and use different drills to be able to, like I said, challenge yourself and then apply it into training and then into game day as well.
Yeah. And again, making good decisions around that. That's a skill. That's the tactical component, and the technical is executing skills as you do it. That one where you talked about, we used to call it gear change. You should be able to be going along and going, oh, okay, I really have to go now. Oh, actually, I really have to go. So then if you've got that ability, rather than this one pace, slow wind up, like the time has left for you to make a decision that will help the team.
100%. So a common thing I see a lot of elite athletes do in their training is extras. Do I need to do extras after every single gym and field session to stand out in club rugby?
Yeah, so I think standout's probably, if you're doing it to look like you're doing it, yeah. What is the intent? I'd really do like there's a skill that you're struggling with, you work on that pre-training and then you try and execute that in training, right? If there's a skill that you need to do when you're fatigued or something like that, that's when you can work with it after training, something that you should have absolutely down packed, and the training sessions poured some fatigue on you. So you want to execute that knowing that you need to do that with some fatigue in your system. Intent and knowing what the goal is and how close or how far away you are from nailing that extra work is really important. So you do need to do it, and I'd communicate closely with my rugby coach, backs coach, skills coach, whoever it might be, and your S&C coach, so that you're absolutely have a clear plan that you have decided on before you actually do extras. What are your thoughts?
No, I really like that, and I think fatigue is something you got to be wary of, because you don't want to practice these skills. So, say if you want to work on your power, and it's at the end of training when you're fucked, Oh, sorry for swearing, but like, yeah, you're just tired. Should you really be working on it, or should you have just said, I should be working on this before training has started to do some extras, or communicate with my coach, okay, how can I add a bit more power into this session at the start of the session, because that's something I really want to work on. And then once you get confident and competent in that, then you can add it in when you're fatigued, because we need to be able to repeat efforts as well. So figure out what's the skill and how can you work on it during training so you're fresh, so you can really hone in on those little details, and then work under fatigue, and then possibly you can do it at the end of the training. But I think, like you said, don't just do it to be seen, do it to be better. Can you do this stuff as well without a teammate? Some stuff you can. So for instance, playing rugby, I was a hooker, so I would just throw the ball against this light pole after gym sessions, after field training, and plenty of times when no one else was watching, it was just me versus me. Can I set little challenges for myself to do that? And if you're a goal kicker, it's the same thing. Or if you're a halfback, it's your approach into the ruck and doing all these different scenarios. So don't just do it to be seen, do it to be better and be better for the team, and make sure that you go with the intent of it, not just half-assing and sort of not really focusing on it. Really make sure that you spend this extra 5 to 10 minutes to maximize it, because at the end of the week, it all adds up. And if you've done it really, really well with maximum intent and really focusing on it, you're really going to improve. Whereas if you go half-ass at it, you're not going to improve. So I would say yes, but yeah, be smart about it, because you don't want to be doing all this training and it doesn't go anywhere, or you start to figure out where I'm actually really fatigued right now and I don't feel like I'm going into a game fresh and ready to go. So be smart, know what you want to work on, talk to your coaches, and do it with intent.
Yep. And also knowing the strengths and weaknesses of how you're being coached. Because yeah, a lot of club teams, they might only work on the tactical area. They're not working on the technical. So you catch pass, whatever it is, they might not be doing enough reps for you to get better. So take a good look at your training and go, oh, okay, we've done 20 minutes of catch pass this session. Maybe you don't need to work on that. Oh, wait, we've done none. oh, okay, I need to work on it. Because there's a bias amongst all of us. Like some people think purely physical will solve our problems. Coaches worry tactically when they're prepared. Some are all technically. So you've got to work out what is the balance that I need for what I'm missing out on.
100%. So, how can I set myself up each week to maximize performance and be available each week to be selected for game day?
Yeah, I like that. You could probably stealing a little bit of my coaching philosophy there. Being
Oh, yeah.
available is absolutely key for everyone, but that's it. Great. How do you make sure you're available? Well, it's what you do outside of football. Okay. So it's how well you eat, how well you sleep, how well you recover, and how well you prepare pre rugby and what you do post rugby that makes a big difference. And also having a goal for each session, each thing that you're doing. So, what is the goal that I want to get out of this gym session? What is the goal I want out of this rugby session? What is the goal I want out of my extras? What's the goal I want out of my sleep? What's the goal I want out of my nutrition? So when you've got the reasons why you're doing things and what you're looking for, you'll do them better as well. But really, the key would be hydration, sleep, nutrition, and a good plan for what you need to work on. So, what are your thoughts?
No, I think you've nailed it on the head there, and I think just continuing to do the work as well. Something that Darren Burgess, S&C coach and high performance manager for, is it Melbourne in the AFL? I'm pretty sure it's the Melbourne
Yeah,
Demons.
it's been in a few places.
Yeah, he's such a smart coach, and he was saying just to continue to do the work, and manage those little niggles as well that you have throughout the season, and address them, but don't stop your training. He's found that if you have a little bit of soreness in an area, we're going to manage your load and change it, manipulate it, but we're not going to stop, because I think if you stop training, you're not really addressing the area, and you're just sort of, you could be decreasing your performance as well. So continue to do the work, but be smart about it. Talk to your coaches, talk to the physio, doctor, it doesn't matter who it is, and really make sure that we have a goal for you every training if you do have some sort of injury, and you're smart about it, and then you're ticking all the boxes as well yourself. Oh yeah, I'm not just going to train tonight, I got a bit of a niggle somewhere, and then you have a poor night's sleep and you're not eating correctly and you're a bit dehydrated, then you go into that rehab session and it worsens, so really be smart about your training, and go back to my point is literally just continue to do the work, and just be smart about your training, I would say. And if you do that, I think you're going to continue to be selected and have the opportunity to be selected each week as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, but that's, at the elite level, that's what we do. If people can't participate in a field training, they're off feet, and the off feet is way harder than the field session, because you can't get the change of direction, stop, start, all of that. So you need some workload of similar demands, and sometimes actually even a lot more, because you're missing out. So if you've got, you've got a niggle somewhere and you can't run, I'd do a massive off feet session, so that to try and stimulate the same load, plus do your rehab and your prehab, whatever it is you need to do for that session. That's an opportunity to get better, not to actually miss out.
And that sort of leads perfectly into sort of the next question is, I strongly believe you need to be the best teammate you can be. So how does a person become the best teammate possible for the team? And I think that's a great example is, if you do have a niggle or injured and can't do the whole session or do certain drills, are you still doing work on the side? Are you still doing the stuff to potentially play on the weekend or potentially play next week or the week after? I just don't want to see you standing there in your Ugg boots, you got your jumper on, you're nice and cozy, and just watching us do training. Obviously, there's certain injuries, yes, that will happen, but if you're still able to at least walk and function, you're doing something, and I think the times that I've seen that from my teammates, but I've also done it for the team as well, I think that adds a bit of respect, and just shows you that I'm still here. I might not be training with you for the whole training, but I'm still here. I want to get back to with you guys, and I'm still about the team. I'm still about our goal and our dream of this season. So I think that's one of many areas that you can do to be the best teammate possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And my key thing is a good teammate gets everyone better, and that includes yourself. But
Mm.
there's only a couple of injuries where you can't do something. That would be concussion in the early stages. You've got to go through your protocol, or if you've got some type of spinal injury, or you've just had surgery
Mm.
and they don't want you to sweat. So after 10 days, that's a very different story.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a sore shoulder, um, you can be doing running. You can do if it hurts while you're running, you put your hands on your hips and run. Like there's so many different ways.
Yeah, you can just
If
hold your
you
arm across your torso and just limit the movement,
Yeah, you're on a bike. If you still go to the gym, oh, I can't go to the gym. My shoulder's sore. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's sore. When you push it in that direction, you can still do all the pull, and you can do single arm on that other side, mate.
Yeah. And this comes
Like you
back
just
to
miss out on one exercise. Sorry.
and this comes back to what we're talking about at the start. Like, how do you stand out? This is how you stand out, You're putting yourself, if you do get injured, in the best possible chance and opportunity to get back on the field and play with the team, because if you get hurt in the professional level, this is what is expected of you to do. You don't just sit out for a couple of weeks and come back. You got to do the work, because in the professional ranks, someone's taken your position. You need to get it back. How are you going to get your position back? And then also, how are you going to continue to improve the team as well?
Yeah, agree. Totally.
So, yeah, I think the last sort of one is, can you think of any other advice that players sort of need to hear on how to be the best club player that they can be?
I think we mentioned it earlier about the sleep, nutrition, and sometimes it's staying off the piss at the right times. If you've got a slight little niggle despite what's going on and the boys are going out, you go, oh, sorry guys, I can't. I'll come out with you, but I can't get on the piss because I, I want this little niggle to become not so serious, so I can be back at it training, so that can be contributing to the team and being social, like adding to the fun and the banter and the enjoyment of being in a team environment. Actually, caring about your mates and having a bit of fun with them. And some people I need a lot more time alone by myself, and I like being in a coaching group, but understanding that sometimes your teammates need a little bit of time, we go and check in them, being social and looking after them in that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes if you really want to be better, and we all have to, for opportunities, you might have to move the place that you're at if the place you're at isn't providing what you need to get somewhere else, but do it in a very respectful way as well.
Yeah, I love that point, and that was something I wrote down. I forgot to mention is, yeah, if you feel like you're not getting the opportunity that you think you should deserve, then you might need to relocate or change teams across to another team in that competition. But do it in a good way, and when you do leave, don't just be talking shit about the club, or anything like that. Like they did provide you an opportunity. It might not have been the one that you wanted, but you still got something out of it. Even if it was bad, you still learned from that experience and can be a better player from it. And one thing I was going to mention is something that I spoke to at the start of the episode was me playing baseball. Was how can I take stuff from one club and organization to the next? And I think that's really important. And some really good advice is, if you do go to a new club, or it's your first time with this club, or you have been around the club for a while, what are some areas that you can improve? How can you be the best clubman? Because I think that's another way you can give back to the club, but also be the best teammate, but also help you. I don't know. It's selfishly, but like it's also helping you stand out as well. But it's standing out in a good way and for a greater purpose as well. It's not just about you. It's about, how can I make this club better? Because if the club's better, the standard raise, players want to be there, coaches want to be there. It's just it all comes back in full circle. So I think if you can look at where the areas the club lacks in and sort of struggling a bit, can you put your hand up and give 1 hour a week, to that club, or something like that, or it's just one shift in the canteen, or it's just something along those lines, because you don't know the ripple effect of what you're positive actions can have on the club and have on the team as well.
Yeah, I used to have a saying at a club, put your hand up to do some work, not your hand out for something.
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, that's all the questions that I have for today, and hopefully everyone's gotten some key takeaways from this. And if you're playing your season right now, you can add those into it, or if you're in the off season right now, you can start thinking about, okay, how can I stand out for next season? And yeah, definitely take notes from this, and reach out if you have any sort of more questions, especially around power stuff. We might do some YouTube videos in that to really show what we're doing with some athletes, and how you can add that into your sessions as well. So thanks everyone for listening and watching on YouTube, and thank you, Ben, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. Well done. Great topic.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Elite Rugby SandC podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and rate Elite Rugby SandC on Spotify and YouTube, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. Sign up to become a beast via the link in the description or via Instagram page. Also, remember to sign up to our newsletter to receive free bonus content each and every single week. So don't wait, make that good decision, and join Elite Rugby SandC today and take your game to the next level. Thanks for listening.